ahoy, and welcome to the grand finals of the LCO! Let's kick this off right and ready. We are looking sharp as ever. Skimmy, Tally, my famous cast is joining me on today's desk. They are primed and ready to go. We are all looking so fantastic, and the games are going to be even better, Skimmy. Even better. But before we get into the whole series, we have a couple stats we want to talk about over the whole split long. Let's have a quick look at some and see what we can expect to see into future splits. But first off, we have to have the playoff highlights, Skimmy, and they're looking so good.
They certainly are. Yeah, this is a bit of a reflection of how the playoffs have gone, and as you can see, it's going to be dominated by a lot of those Grand Zero players. This has been their season, a perfect one of that, yet to drop a game. A lot of these players individually having the split of their career, and for some of them also a chance for them to gain their very first title. So really, really excited to see if, it is going to be that perfect split, and if we can really do some damage going into PCS.
Tally, it's looking pretty good. The most kills in game. It's Destiny with that 18-kill game, which was absolutely phenomenal. But Fido sitting up there too. And then the other side, solo kills. So many here, Tally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen, quite bloody games going, so far throughout the playoffs. You would think that they were going to be quite quiet games with, the just range meta happening and, not the ganking junglers, but still a lot of solo kills, a lot of action happening in all these lanes.
And let's have a look at some champion stats as well from the playoffs, just to have a quick look at what this is. And this is just top 3 games played. 13 games on Ezreal, 11 on Corki mid, Tristana 10-2. Again, we've got a very strong meta here, Tally.
Yeah, we're still seeing the trade of 80 carries in the mid lane, very standard stuff. The often picks of the melee support, just really having really high presence in the Leona and the Nautilus. But, one that has popped up recently and has been doing so well is the Alistair. And I know Violet in his interview mentioned that, he just thought it was OP and OS. He didn't believe the champion was good. But I have seen that one start popping up overseas. And I got to say, it is looking quite OP with the Warmogs.
Look, it's not looking too bad, but as well, Tally, we had to do the big special shout out to Alistair there as well. Finally hitting that 100% win rate over the top of Leona Nautilus. But again, I love to see that we're getting these unique picks, unique champions, sort of played everywhere, but they're played in such different styles. That's what we love, Skimmy.
We do, yeah. I mean, you're going to get a fair bit of flexibility. We obviously had a Sejuani game up in the top lane. But yeah, the big thing for me was the fact that, with Leona and Nautilus banned away, it seems that Alistair is the one that's creeping up. Alistair and Braum as a bit of a pairing, right? Where you can be more aggressive, you can be more defensive, you can counteract some of those aggressive tendencies that people do. You get that little tag on the Braum, GG, you just won those team fights as a result, right? So I think support gap is going to be a major, major talking point. I'm going to be curious to sort of see what kind of meta evolves in this final best of 5 of this year.
Final best of 5. It's going to be big, but we have some awards to give away, Tally, and we're so keen for this one. It's going to be our LCO Pro Team chosen. Let's have a quick look at what this is, because we haven't even seen it ourselves, which is the best part. Expert chosen LCO All-Pro Team, Tien, Shenfire, Harry, Lemus, and Kurak. That's a lot of green though, Tally.
Yeah, and Harry is outnumbered, and this would have been my, chosen team, so nice to see that it is the expert chosen team, is agreeing with what I thought was going to be the best. I just think that, overall, all 5 of these players have just stood out in their roles. Consistency is the main thing for me. I think that they all have, these good performances. You rarely ever see them have bad games, and in those games where they are, maybe underperforming in the early game, they still have impact on the series overall, and I think that's just really nice to see from all of these players.
Look, and as good as this team looks, we have an MVP leaderboard that we have to break down for you as well about what players have really shined this split. And look at that, tied for first, Lemus, Tien, Fido, and Violet. Again, Skimmy, so much green.
Absolutely. As I said before, yeah, this really has been their perfect season for Lemus. A chance to try and just continue his legacy of I always make it to PCS. For Tien to finally have that standout year, always coming second or third, but this has been his go-to. And then for Fido, right, to take a break, come back into competitive, always been hunting for that very first title as well. He's paid his dues, playing with so many different rookies, but has definitely been a standout performer on this roster as well. You can never look past Ultraviolet. It was a big component of what allowed them to win in that best of 5 over Antic. And we'll be hoping that he can hold a candle to Lemus, and that bot lane should be the place to keep your eye on.
Look, it is the spot to look on, but there's also tied for 5th that we need to look at, because we had so many tied scores for MVP. Jovi, Foreigner, Dragku, Kevi, and Aladoric. We're seeing a lot more familiar names that are going to be showing themselves later on today, Tally. But again, a good bunch. A lot of new players.
Yeah, definitely a lot of the new players going up in the leaderboards, but also to shout out what we're looking at right now is, normally we would give out the MVP before the finals, but since, we have so many people tied up, with their leagues right now, we decided to delay that one until after this series to, potentially have that one standout. It's pretty much Violet versus Ground Zero, and I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to have that performance to, secure himself the MVP of the split, or it's just going to go all green again.
Look, if it's going to go all green, we'll have to just wait and see. But we have also the most improved player of the split going to be jumping onto your screen in just a second, which we love. And it's TN, expert chosen. Gents, what do you think, Skimmy?
I like this, yeah. As I said before, I think he's had a phenomenal season. This split in particular has been such a one full of growth, right? In split one, definitely stood out and showcased his merit, but I think at times he was dropping down solo kills to lesser known players. He heard himself express, it doesn't really matter my lane. I've got such great teammates that can carry me in the end. But this one has been pure obliteration. He's been destroying individuals that have so much more experience over him, that have actually, won so many more accolades over him, but he's played the carries. He's never really been forced in a situation where he has to play a tank. They say, look, if you want to have a little bit of experimentation, play like a Poppy, play like a Nasus, but they're basically a carry as well. So yeah, thoroughly well deserved there from TN. And look, the sky's the limit. Let's see where it ends up going forward.
Well, we do know that they're going to be ending up at PCS, but let's bring it back down to where we are because we have a series on our hand, Tally. It is Ground Zero versus Team Bliss. It's going to be so big, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, specifically because, the last time we saw these teams play against each other, it was a very one-sided affair, right? We saw Ground Zero with that 3-0 stomp. But, I was speaking to, Benny behind the scenes, and, he let me know that he was also surprised at that result. Because, based on their practice, it's a lot more of an even affair behind the scenes in those scrims. So, very curious to see if, those Band-Aid solutions that Violet brought up is really going to make that difference going forward. If we're going to see that, maybe 5 games tonight.
Hopefully go to 5 games. That's what we're all hoping for. It'll be a good long night that we're all excited for. But let's see how these teams got here. Let's have a quick look at the bracket of where we started in these playoffs right up until right now, your grand finals. And you can see GZ again having that perfect run. And Bliss, funnily enough, going down into that lower brackets finals, but still coming up successful against Team Antic. And Skimmy, pretty good run for both teams regardless.
Yeah, the perfect run continues then for Ground Zero, right? They're 19-0, 5 games to get themselves into that qualifying position. They get to really watch the rest of the bracket unplay and figure out what their style is into it. I don't imagine that to be too much of a difference for Bliss. They've had 9 games of players, nearly double, to try and figure out how do they want to try and take down Ground Zero in this rematch. Humbled 3-0 last time, hoping for a bit more of a competitive series this time, Pike.
Look, we can all hope for that, but we don't get any choice in that, unfortunately. That's up to the players for how they want to do it, and that's fine with us. I think if we can get a best of 5 and get 5 games in, we'll be pretty happy, Tally. But, like you said, Ground Zero had such a good time. We'll have to see what the Band-Aid solution is for Team Bliss. Do you have any idea what could come out tonight?
It's when you think of a Band-Aid solution, it's generally just okay, we need to ban out a certain champion, we don't verse that, or we need to pick a certain style. Last time we saw them versus each other, Kevy was playing, the Maokai 2 out of 3 games. We saw him in the series against Antic, playing more carries, having a lot more pressure in those games, and Bliss just looked generally better in those late game scenarios when he was on those carries. So I think that might be a Band-Aid solution, having more, agency on Kevy, because I think that in form he can definitely send up to Scherdenfire.
Scherdenfire, though, he's the man on fire. He can do no wrong. He burns a path. But talking about burning a path, we are going to get a nice little message from PCS Nash talking about the PCS where these teams will be going. Nash, take it away.
Hi guys, this is Nash from PCS. PCS is very honored to have our old friends, Ground Zero and Team Bliss, joining PCS playoffs in August. But before that, I want to share my thoughts on the matchup between these two teams. On one hand, we have Ground Zero. For me, Ground Zero is a little bit like the LCO's versions of PSG talent. You have an undefeated season, pure dominance, and most importantly, this is the patch for my boy Scherdenfire. He's had too much fun in the jungle this year. I saw that Amumu pick, bro. Don't forget to bring it back when you come to Taiwan. On the other hand, we have Team Bliss. It's very glad to see my boy Biopanther and Aladaric grinding their way back to the finals. Although they got beat by GZ 3-0 last time, I don't think the gap is as big as the result shows. Definitely, GZ is the favorite but I do think there are some chances for Team Bliss. My suggestion will be, first, fix your draft issues, especially giving Bell Panthers his comfort pick, such as Renekton, Gnar, or even Cassante. Just drop the Jax. And secondly, using lane swaps. I think most of the LCO teams are struggling dealing with lane swaps. So if you can properly using lane swaps to shut down Shermfire in the early game and keep up the pressure, I do think there are a silver lining there. All that being said, GZ 3-0 is the obvious prediction for me. That's pretty much it from me. Last but not least, PCS playoffs will kick off on August 5th. And I guarantee you this one will be a banger. So don't forget to tune in when the playoff starts. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Hope better team wins today. Good luck and have fun. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Nash, for that awesome message. But we have Ground Zero here as well, though, Tally, and this team has defeated everyone thus far.
Absolutely everyone has been defeated by this team. No one left in their path, and all they want to do tonight is run it back. We saw last time these teams versed the fact that Ground Zero didn't really have to do anything. They've banned the same champions all 3 games. They played the same style all 3 games, and we haven't really seen them being pushed yet. We keep talking about it. What's going to happen when this team gets pushed? But so far, we see all of their laners stand up. We see all of these players, play the mid game so well. Their macro looks so good. And I'm really afraid for Bliss, coming to this series if they haven't changed anything.
I think Bliss is that one that we're all talking about. You mentioned those Band-Aid fixes. Are they going to be as prepared? They had a bit of a shellacking last week, but they had the weekend to look at it, review, take some pocket picks maybe out, potentially that Jax Nash. But we'll have to see what it's going to look like, Skimmy, because this team, although they've got the star roster, they've got the players, it just hasn't come together against Ground Zero.
Yeah, definitely Ground Zero has been their kryptonite this season. Certainly a case of figuring out what is that Band-Aid solution. I think a lot of it's going to come to the comforts again. Ground Zero truly haven't been tested. It's been on their own volition right now, and they've wanted to try and showcase some of those pocket picks. And a fun fact that I found out is that in this playoff, in those 5 games, Fido's only ever had to play Tristana or Corki. Never, ever been threatened enough to try and play something a little bit different. We've seen those pocket picks in the past, like the Akshan, for example, hasn't been a factor. Whereas on the flip side for Bliss, Kevy's played 7 unique champions, the most in this entire playoffs. He's been flicking between, your AP carries like a Karthus, the tanks like a Maokai, and sometimes the AD carry like a Graves. So they're desperately hunting for that solution. And look, I think they could find it tonight, because in particular for Harry, yeah, he didn't have the stand-up performance up against Fido. He played leagues above what we'd seen him do in the past. But he's shown different variations in how he wants to approach things, be it the AD or the AP. So hopefully they can, draft into something that gives them some early game agency. And we do get some late game bangers, not a series that's done in less than an hour.
That's exactly what we're hoping for, but again, like you said, you got to get those interesting picks. I'd love to see Fido maybe pull out the Cassiopeia as well, something a little bit more AP damage, hyperscale mage. I'd love to see something crazy like that, but who knows? It really comes down to how these teams decide to draft. Hoping Team Bliss has a couple surprises for us, because these fights here are immaculate, and even Violet got to be blown up here. Apoo! Just too easy, but career games played. Let's look at this though, Tally, because there are some big numbers.
Yeah, I think the main thing to take away is the fact that, Bliss, kind of mogged them when it comes to the experience that they have. A lot of these players have played for a very long time. They've played a lot of best of series. But, the title gap just really isn't there. And I just think that goes to show the power that the GZ has and how much success they've had in recent years. And they're just doing so well together as a team. I think that Bliss absolutely can come to this game tonight and feel, very comfortable if they're confident in their prep and, their overall form so far. I'm not too worried about this series being that same repeat that we saw last time.
I also love just seeing just a funny little side note, 46 on Kurak being like the newest sort of player to the league. Hasn't played all that much, but still holding his own too. But let's have a look at career titles of what these players have been able to pull off their whole time. And again, we're looking at a full spectrum of players. 2 of such are in the series tonight. But it's Raze and Babib sitting very comfortable with 6. Shermfire and Biopanther, along with King, would be looking to secure that next title and join the top dogs there, Skimmy.
That's exactly right, yeah. Commiserations to Rays. Would have been hoping that he could have won this one to be outright first, the best, most dominant player ever to play in Oceania. But yeah, the likes of Sherd and Biopen are going to look to try and add to that, contention at the top of the table. And if it becomes a bit of a discussion as to, all right, what is the best player in Oceanic history? Is it lane by lane, or do we just look to try and see recency bias of the LCO versus the OPL era? And it's obviously a whole bunch to, go over. But yeah, look, it's a fantastic occasion for these teams. And, maybe a little bit bittersweet with how the landscape's all going to be changing going forward. But look, I really, really hope that they can make a dent going over to PCS. It'd be so heartbreaking, as I'm sure Tally will say, from the Chiefs, right? They had the perfect season, go overseas, get botted, and you're like, how much copium and hopium can I inhale? At what stage can we beat a team, guys? Come on.
I think it's possible though, Tally. Do you think it's possible? Like, is the hope still there?
I will never lose hope. I will always have the hopium, the copium, like whatever you want to call it. I will always believe, no matter what our domestic performances look like, anything can happen overseas if everything, ticks. If we tick all the boxes, I'd say.
I think we're ticking a lot of boxes. We've got some two fantastic teams looking pretty good, so I think there is that chance, and I'm backing it all the way. But no, let's have a look talking about PCS, about the PCS history, about how our previous teams have gone. And you can see here, Split 1 2023, it was just that one win with Biopanther and Aldog on Chiefs. Bliss, unfortunately, no wins. Then we got Split 2 with Bliss and Chiefs again going back, but 2 wins on Chiefs there with Biopanther, Aladoric, and Kevy. And then back to Split 1 at 2024, Lemus, Benvi, Shenfire, and TN, basically the same roster, with 2 wins. So fingers crossed they can make their mark there again there, Skimmy.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, we got our first series win this year up against V3 from the LJL when they got integrated into this PCS Combine League. And yeah, the biggest talking point here is the fact that Lemus has never once missed qualifying for the PCS. So if you're trying to figure out as a neutral who should you support, well, there's that part of the narrative, right? Does he continue it? Does he always embody that he is a PCS player, basically? Or does the upset happen and do Bliss rectify their history from 2023 and look to do some damage this time instead?
Well, fingers crossed they can, and look at Lemus down to the bottom there. He's all business. He's ready to go to PCS and kick some ass. But let's have a look at Ground Zero and Team Bliss as a head-to-head and see what these teams have been doing for their stats. And Tally, some big numbers again.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to, see that Ground Zero just dominating. We've watched their games, we've seen them go undefeated, we see their stats, and I think that we're still seeing the one little, storyteller for this team is the fact that, while they are second in that Dragon percentage, that just comes from them dominating these games. They never prioritize this objective. They're always stealing camps, taking towers, trading gold. They never want to go towards that Dragon. They believe it to be a bait. And I think that we're still going to see that same story of, if there is any topside lead or any draft difference when it comes to jungle priority, we're going to see that Dragon Grub trade. And I think that Bliss need to be careful about that one because that's a scaling advantage that you get in those Dragons, whereas, giving the Grubs gives that experience towards Shenfire, and we all know what he can do with leads.
He can do no wrong. It's the man on fire. He's always that good. But I'm also, like you said, looking at this bot lane as well, that you have to be worried about the pressure that Lemus and Kurak are putting out. And talking about this bot lane, which was my fun little segue, let's have a quick chat with Kurak from Ground Zero, making his debut on the LCO Grand Finals. Mate, how are you feeling?
Yeah, honestly, feeling pretty good today, a lot better than what last week I felt like, because last week I was actually kind of nervous, not gonna lie. Today, honestly, I'm pretty relaxed and hoping for a quick 3-0 once again.
Okay, all right, okay, mate. Oof, I'm not even... You sort of beat me to my next question as well, because, again, it is your first finals. It's your 47th game in the LCO too, so you're feeling pretty good. Now, we need to know the pressure that's on for you today. You just said you're feeling pretty calm, but is the pressure, is it starting to build up a little bit more? Is there any nerves that you're not going to get the 3-0?
Nah, honestly, I think today I'm pretty relaxed. I honestly didn't even know it was like LCO final day until I woke up. Because I'm focusing on school tomorrow. I'm on holidays, I have to study, but yeah, so it's feeling good, Nah, I think I've felt a lot better today than I did on Thursday. So I should perform better as well. And on Thursday, I think I performed decently, I guess, except a few times. But yeah, it'll be good.
Well, mate, I think you did exceptionally. Now, I've got to ask really quickly before we let you go and get ready for your game, how are you feeling heading over to Taiwan for PCS? You guys feeling good? How are you feeling?
Honestly, I'm hyped, but The problem is my school's not very happy about it. I don't even know if they're gonna accept or decline my my leave, but it is what it is. I'm gone, and hopefully we get far with the boys.
Mate, that's exactly what I want to hear, except for the school part. But, mate, thank you so much. Go back to your team. Good luck tonight. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you, thank you. See you guys.
I love that. He's like, yeah, I don't know if school's going to allow me to go. I'm like, nah, man, League of Legends or school?
You go.
You know the answer for that.
That's a self-scholarship. Yeah, mate. I'm a self-made man, and I'm just the greatest player in the country at this game. See you there. Bye-bye.
Mate, how many universities are now doing that as well? They're like, yeah, you play esports, come do a scholarship. Like, all right, maybe he's on the path, right? He's ready to go. But again, he's feeling good. He mentioned a 3-0 again, Skimmy.
Yeah, look, I can't put it past them. Why would you not have that self-confidence, that belief, actualize it, make it become real? And yeah, I mean, the 3-0 last time was so convincing. So I can imagine why they're be coming into this with no pressure, so relaxed, because they think, well, we just get to continue to do what we've done all series long, or all season long rather, and put all the burden onto Bliss. How do you beat us?
Well, that's it. Like, that's the big question. Again, we keep coming back to these Band-Aid solutions that Bliss said they needed to sort of work through. But Tally, like, the way Ground Zero is looking, it's a tall order, but it could be any team's series, really.
Oh, absolutely. It still could be anyone's series, and I think that Ground Zero has the absolute right to feel confidence just based on their gameplay, their prep, their overall form, and just the the understanding of the meta. I think that's probably the biggest strength of that team is the fact that they got on the meta first, and they have spent the past 7-8 weeks just trying to find the best way to play that for their style. And so far, all we've seen is success.
We love success. That's what we're all about here. But talking to another successful player who's had a fantastic history, not only in the LCO but abroad, we have Aladoric joining us on the desk too. Mate, look at you. You're feeling good. You're excited. There's the wave. How are you, mate?
Feeling really good. Thank you. How are you guys feeling?
Great.
I'm pretty good. I think we're doing all right. Now, I have to ask, Aladoric, so this is your 6th time in the finals. Does this sort of compare? Do you feel the same amount of nerves compared to the other finals you've been in?
Not really. I feel kind of calm today. I don't really feel that nervous. I feel like going to today, we are the underdogs, and like I feel like that does have some value to it. Like there's not as many expectations, but obviously like we still come in, we're really confident, we think we're gonna win. Yeah, no, I think I'm more calm than I have been in the past, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome to hear, honestly. I'd love to hear that. But now, there's one question as well on top of that is, so we had Violet last week, and he mentioned that there's a couple Band-Aid solutions to your gameplay that you guys have need to work through over the weekend. How do you guys feel with your prep over that time in preparation for today?
We feel pretty good. I think the last time we first GC, it was like more of a... Even though we didn't play like very well, to be honest, like that wasn't our level. I think it was like our drafting was kind of off. Like we just had the wrong idea. I think they had a really good idea on like what to play and like their team strengths and their identity. So I think they did really well towards that. But I also think that we didn't do that very well. So today we're coming in a lot more prepared. Definitely ready to give it to them today, 100%.
That's the confidence I like to hear, Aladoric. Well, mate, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to your team. Short and sweet. You have a good series tonight, mate. We're rooting for you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, he did it. He did it. He's won the series, boys. He saluted back at us. That's cast a curse. Cast a blessing.
Well, it's a bit of both. But no, is it a salute or a wave that's like the prime one there, Tally? Like, what do you think?
I think it's whatever we initiate with, you got to respond in tandem,
It's true.
So we went with the salute there. We waved with Kurak, saluted at Aladoric. We both got... Wait, did Kurak actually wave?
He did.
Yeah, then I can't decide. I don't know who's going to win.
It's an even performance.
Yeah.
It is. Support def.
It's too much. It's too much. But let's have a look at the past series and how that all played out against these two titans of teams. And it's going to be quite a bit of a shellacking showing, honestly, though, Tally, because, again, we see the beautiful drafts, but all of it went to Ground Zero.
Yeah, and as Aladoric mentioned, he believes they didn't really have the correct approach for this series, and I think that Bliss as a team, even that Antic series we saw, they have game one we're kind of pulling out all the cards and trying something different. In this series against Ground Zero, they went for that all-in, very short-range comp into the brand, which is going to suffer if you do not get a lead in the early game, and that is what we saw. And then against Antic, the same thing. Went for that early game comp, didn't really work out. So gonna see what they have prepared this time. Is it going to be more towards that scaling? Is it going to have more answers for that Brawn blind pick we saw Ground Zero pull out that kind of punished Aladoric's champion pool? I want to know if they have these answers prepared.
Well, Skimmy, that also raises the question, are we going to see Jax banned away, or are they just going to ban it from themselves, apparently, from Nash?
Look, I don't know if Jax needs to be prioritized as much as it was in the past. Obviously incredibly strong, but we did see in their last series up against Antic, the Gnar came to the top of the pile, right? So certainly another consideration if you want that kind of balance of lane bully, but also some kind of split push threat to respond to Tien. Yeah, I think that's going to be the major focus, is handle these laning phases as best as you can, and the mid game will come with it, right? Try and not over-invest in the team fight, because how many times do we see them go for these like dive comps? They're down 5-10k by the time you can actually team fight properly with it. So give yourself the fighting chance, try and make them a little bit uncomfortable during laning phase, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get all 5.
Fingers crossed again. We want all 5. We want a little bit of that uncomfortability that you just said. But let's have a quick look at the side select, as it was Ground Zero who was able to lock that one down. And they said blue again, Tally. It's bread and butter at this point. It just makes sense.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see those same bans come out today that we saw in the last series. I believe, Ground Zero doesn't really have to change their prep. They know what they did last time worked, so they can come out game 1, do the same thing. And until they're forced to change, until they're forced into a scenario where they're getting punished for what they're doing, they're going to keep running it back. And we're probably, I don't know if we're really going to see it change throughout the series, because they just look so strong.
Look, I love when they're strong, and I love when we get to see the unique picks that we've always wanted, i.e. Tristana Corki every single game, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get something different. That's all right. But let's have a look at something else, which is for you, Twitch chat. It's your Twitch channel points up in that corner. I don't have the greatest mobility in this suit, especially sitting down, but get those points in. I'm going to start putting my points in tonight. You can bet on that. And we're all... Oh, what was that? Oh, I can't copy that. Again, suit's too tight, but get those in. Let's have a look at our predictions, though, guys.
It makes you
see what pumped. Mate, how are you doing this? I'm a robot right now. I'm just hitting the gym too much. That's what it is. Let's have a look at our predictions, though, and see what we've decided to go with. Who we think's the top tier? Yes, look, I did a tally. And I went all GZ. All in or nothing, baby. But you guys got very similar votes, too.
Damn, okay. Yeah, look, I went GZ because last time I got burnt, I went for the 5-game banger with Bliss. They got smashed, so I said, you know what? I think maybe with some of the solutions over the weekend that Bliss would have been working on, maybe they can take away 1 game, but I still think Grand Zero is a little bit too dominant. I think, yeah, the mid lane and the support probably the most even. Otherwise, I would say it definitely leans towards Grand Zero on recent performances and just that consistent momentum.
Well, Tally, what are your thoughts?
I'd say, on a similar note, I think that I would give the advantage to a lot of the Ground Zero members. I think the hardest one for me was the support position, but I just think that what we saw recently with Aladoric, he was having those performances on the Alistar, but if that champion is taken away, did not see those same performances on the other champions, and Kurak in particular has that, he's been blind picking the Braum, which just looks so powerful, especially into a player who likes, going for those melee support blind picks, and if he is forced into that role throughout the series, he has to play that engaged role, whereas, Kurak can be flexible, because I feel like there is more, diversity on the side of Ground Zero. I think we're going to start seeing that, little edge of a support gap coming out.
Look, yeah, I think that was sort of my thought process as well. Sort of like, look, not only did I want to copy you, Tally, and be like, you know what, I'm just going to go ham. I'm just going to go for it. But at the same time, I was sort of like, I still back all these players. Like, don't let my vote seem a bit too much like a joke. It was all serious. Like, I'm thinking Fido's stepped up again from that last series. He's proven that he is up there with Harry too. Yes, Harry is considered the best mid laner we have in the whole shellacking of LCO, but Fido's now stepping up. The rest of this team backed around it. They all have, like I've said before, that carry potential. So that's why I was like, you know what? They've earned this. The split has shown it. It's a Chiefs rerun, but we all know that a Series 2 for a rerun can be just as good as the original series, though, Tally. So I had to do it. I love the Chiefs. I now love GZ, and I think they've got what it takes in PCS. But we'll have to see what that's going to look like, though. Yeah.
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 That was a bit of a roller coaster of a conversation. It's like, where are we headed with this one? We love Chiefs, but I love Ground Zero. All right, like...
Yeah,
that sounds like...
Well, I like Chiefs when Tally was on it. What? But that's okay. Tally's now just a caster. Well, not just a caster. You're a fantastic caster. That's the difference. But no, that's a good looking predictions though. You guys have gone to 3-1. I've gone to 3-0-2. So I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to shape up. But again, first game's always a big decider. Do you have any like little predictions of champions or anything you'd like to see though, Skimmy?
Fido's going to play Tristana or Corki. If that gets banned away, he might go, oh, damn, guys, I've got to play a 3rd champion. What a shame that would be. It won't be AP. It'll probably be like another AD. Oh, maybe just an Akshan. Oh, maybe just a Varus. What a shame. Tough life.
Look, it is a tough life. And you know what makes it even tougher? that the game's ready. It is the Grand Finals LCO Game 1. Take it away, boys.
Let's lock and load then. And as I mentioned Fido's name, they say, well, you know what, we'll give it half your champion pool. So the Tristana, the Corki, you'd imagine that was going to come out next. But the Akshan also, just to add insult to injury there.
Okay, so this is a different approach to what we've seen. You know, a lot of teams, when they verse Ground Zero, they ban out Fire. They get rid of 3 of their AP junglers. But it's just, you cannot ban out this player. He has played too long. He's too comfortable in so many champions. So all of a sudden, they want to get rid of the, the 2 stronger laners in the mid lane of the 80 pairings that go with the mage junglers. They get rid of Shern's best mage jungler, and they, kind of force Fido into picking this Corki. Fido's not going to be too uncomfortable taking this champion, right? This is one of his best champions, and it's pretty good to see every single matchup, but this is what Bliss has planned, and I want to know what they have, in that mid lane counter pick.
Well, that is a very good point, because they are going to run it back with the Ezreal. That was certainly their go-to. And whilst we called it a bit of a bait champion in this series up against Antic, it still proved that it was enough to get them into the mid-game and allow the rest of their team to scale. Leona is certainly the second best option for Aladoric if we're taking away this, Braum Alistair conversation for a hot minute. I do like the fact that Bliss have banned away Brando in this first rotation, a champion that has not really been played too often recently, but was insanely broken during the regular split.
Yeah, and I think that based on the pace that we have seen in the the last series between Ground Zero and Bliss, the Ezreal is completely fine. It is one of the stronger early game champions, especially paired with Leona. A lot can get done. But straight away we see this combo, the Freljord bot lane that Ground Zero has so much priority on in the Braum Ashe, and it's just gonna be able to match that early game skirmishing, be able to use the Hawk Shot to track Kevi, which is really, really good for Schoenfire, especially being able to see what the enemy jungler is, where he's pathing, and find those angles to steal the camps away. So that is a nice pickup for them, and the fact that all of a sudden, Harry on 3, going for the mid laner, already forced to pick that into Braum, which is just not ideal, and I think this is just a good read by Ground Zero overall.
Yeah, not ideal, but it has been his go-to when he wants to start off a series. Did it last time and had a Vi as his jungle pairing. Would have loved the Sejuani, but that is to be denied away, and it's just fascinating to me this entire season that, Rumble is broken. We will ban it no matter what side we're on. It's a self-ban because Schoenfire always wants that solo AP for it himself.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's completely fine. They're not forced to ban anything else, right? They've banned the same 3 champions 4 games in a row now, Skimmy. So, getting rid of the Rumble is just it's enabler for Tien as well. He gets to play more matchups in the top side. Isn't forced to play that one. And also Shern, being able to be solo AP is what he really wants. And we do see some of those mage junglers being left up in the Karthus. And if he wants to go further down the ladder, potential fiddlesticks that he could pull out, we'll have to see what he really wants to go for, because so far we're seeing quite a all-in comp from Bliss, and Ground Zero just has more versatility in this draft, and it gets really rounded out by their comp. But Skimmy, they banned away the Karthus themselves.
They have banned away the Karthus themselves. That they certainly have. So every single champion that Schoenfire has played during the playoffs has been removed. Now, Zara taken off the board as well. These AP options are starting to get a little bit more limited, and the only thing he played during the regular season that is still there would be the Nidalee.
Yeah, so he has the option of the Nidalee, which is, I think, a great answer into the Zyra, just because, you can sustain your double 80 carries with the heal, and the fact that you just have some peel for your team is nice. The Zyra doesn't really do anything against the champs who don't dive into her, right? She really is really good into these champs that dive, but when you get outranged, it's quite hard to deal with. But the fact that we do see the Fiddlesticks come out game 1, Skimmy, is a good play by Ground Zero, because it's all of a sudden, it's a new aspect in the draft going forward that they have to think about. This champ has a huge impact on this game 1. All of a sudden, the Brand, the Lily, and the Mumu might be swapped out, and we've all seen what Schoenfire looks like on those champions.
That we certainly do know, and it's a case of we're going for a very heavy dive composition. We don't want Akshan revives. We don't want Brand, Lilia, or Mumu flourishing based on how close and clumped up we are. Remove it all in consideration. It is the Gnar, right? We talked about it. Certainly a champion that popped up and was very heavily contested into Antic, and they're going to bring some of the adaptation forward into tonight's game.
Yeah, and I'm really excited with both these drafts. I think that both teams have got their comforts. We see a lot more versatility in these drafts. They're not, extremely early game or extremely late game. They have, the speed clear, they have the early game pressure, they have skirmishing, they have side laners, and they have Baron threats. So I think that both drafts have ticked all the boxes that we really want to see from, these versatile drafts that aren't one-dimensional. And I think, it's going to come down to what we're really going to see in that early game, because Fiddle can clear the jungle really fast. Not a good skirmisher, or also not a good ganker pre-6, but there is some map pressure on there, and especially if these lanes get volatile, there is the potential for those tower dives to come through.
That certainly are, and I think as you already mentioned, both comps can play aggressively. They can play to protect and peel, and absorb the pressure and anticipate a bit of a dive attempt going against them. But I think this is going to be more so on Bliss's end to say we've dived, we've composed another dive-heavy composition. It's going to be the mixed damage profile this time, not going to be reliant on that Oh yeah, Yone can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It is all going to be the AP there in the Zyra, but a case to say, can we actually dive onto you? Can we actually hit the backline? Because there have been so many games where Kurak's protecting, Lemus is untouched, and the inevitable then seems to occur. Well, Ground Zero, 19-0, yet to find a single defeat, and we'll hope for another quick 3-0 affair to close out this grand final for what would be a back-to-back championship acquisition. It would be almost trying to rival you there, Tally, on what you did with the Chiefs with that three-peat. As for Bliss, though, it's a chance to reclaim the throne and hopefully upset the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to. Both these teams want to come out aggressive in game one. You don't want to have that a passive affair to the start of the series. So straight away, we already see Shoenfire running in the jungle, wants to get some vision down, but also can play the fake ward. So now all of a sudden, Kevy's like, okay, if he's warded my buff, I need to be considerate about that because I really don't want to get my pathing tracked in the early game if I lose priority in the solo lanes, because that's when Shoenfire really walks in and wants to fight Kevy. It's beautiful.
What I said, and just how aggressive they will be from the very get-go. You mentioned how quick Zyra can be. Obviously, a Fiddlesticks is going to be clearing fairly quick as well, whilst also being incredibly healthy. But I'm curious to sort of see just how active they both want to be before level 6.
Most likely, we're just going to see Shern do the classic, clear base, clear grubs. He just wants to always be there. I think the grubs are going to be really important in this series. Don't see lane swaps coming out of either side, so I expect to see, the bot lane of Ground Zero get the priority because, Ashe and Braum, extremely strong level 1, especially when they can, meet the wave before the enemy bot lane is. We see Aldork being out of position here, so this could really cost this priority on the bot side. And I think Lemus is going to be the key player this game particularly because we saw what he was doing on those Ashe areas in the last time these two teams faced up. So now there is a lot more mobile targets this time. I think we're going to see a lot more aggression, Skimmy.
Even easier, yeah. Basically, it was used off cooldown, wasn't it, right? It wasn't a case of just need to hold it for my own 2v2. I'm chucking it out mid, cross-map arrow, chucking it out top lane. Gank is successful, and the arrow just secures it. So really looking for another impactful performance from the Ashe. And I think there's obviously another big discussion, right, about how the Ashe and Braum have really risen to fruition. So strong in locking you down, but just anticipating, hey, Bliss, if you want to go dive, you've got to get through us. And that's exactly what Aladoric wants to try and do. Jumps in with a Flash Zenith Blade, instantly receives the cleanse to get out of it from Lemus. But that's what we like, right? A level 2 rush and instantly pouncing.
Yeah, this is just really nice by Bliss's bot lane. Violet keeping that passive stacked up, so he has all that attack speed, being able to match up to Ashe's early game push, and the fact that Aldoric goes for that trade early on with the aftershock, just to buy a bit of time. Violet wasn't trading there the whole time. He was just hitting the minions and getting pushed because level 2 is all that matters. So all of a sudden they traded the cleanse for the flash. Aldoric with the Hex Flash has the potential to find that re-engage onto Lemus now.
Certainly does. It's going to be holding down that bush and making sure that going to be very hard then for Ground Zero to step up on that one. Also, another important matchup to keep our eyes on is this mid lane. And this is really where Fido reasserted himself as, yeah, my form is back. And it's going to be very hard to try and make me that weak link. And usually speaking, Hayri would play the Yone into the Corki, into the Tristana. He would lose early, get that first item, hit those tier 2 boots, and then start to gain control of the lane. And I'm really curious to see if he can emulate that performance again tonight.
We already see Kevy going towards the mid lane scheme. This is one of the strengths of the Zyra jungler. You clear so fast, you have downtime before the crab is spawning. So can just walk into these lanes and do a bit of harass. We already see Harry with the potion advantage over Fido. Does have the shield against the blade. Already has the potion as well, so a lot happening, but Violet's
under a lot of trouble right now. Cops the Ignite, burns double summoners to try and run away from that one and really keep himself as topped up and healthy as he can be. But you have to wonder how that's all gone away because they had so much lane control before.
Yeah, very curious to how that one went down because, Kurak and Lemus still both had double flashes here, so could be the potential 2v3 happening here inside the creep wave. Both members of the Bliss bot lane are very low skimmy.
Yeah, Bliss bot lane are looking to try and bait, but Kevy tries to stun it up and lock them all down. So there's going to be Kurak falling for first blood. Bliss are rewarded for all their hard work, really making sure that they start off strong here.
Yeah, and it's going to push out these waves. Shoenfire doing the classic. He recognized where Kevy started, so he's going to steal away his Raptor respawn. A very nice pickup for him. Going to get the golems as well, so this is really nice for him on the top side. Kevy kind of forced into impacting this bot lane. While he does get that kill and experience on the wave, not ideal for him, right? He's going to be down some experience in the jungle, but this is a 5v5 game, so sometimes you do need to pull yourself out of that, MMORPG gameplay of clearing the jungle and helping your team.
Well, that's it. I'm sure whilst he was really hoping to become the star of the show in the jungle, outclear the speed of this Fiddlesticks, no doubt there's been a lot of comms to say, please help us in bot lane. Incredibly volatile. Let's see if we can try and burn some flashes because theirs are still up and available. So first blood going their way, fresh of a reset. Both Kevy and Eladora redeploy onto the map and head straight towards the bottom half of the river, where there are already 3 wards favoring them. They know exactly what's happening here, and they're not afraid to invade.
Yeah, so Kevy recognizes that his camps are gone, right? So he needs to re-invade the spot side. Shern was parting for his golems, but recognizes that all of a sudden, oh, my camp's being contested. That's not allowed. I'm Shernfire. I get all my camps. But it's already gone, Skimmy. He's too slow. So all of a sudden, you know, well, he does get that 1 camp lead. We do see them walking in deeper. They are spotted on the Hawk shot, so probably not going to be a steal away. Just maybe force Shernfire to use the smite on the camp, but he's completely fine with that.
Yeah, going to be very content with that one. And so far, it's the case of Ground Zero. Well, we're just going to lane flip them. We're going to play towards the top half of the map. Kirik already parving there through the river. Limus going for the lane gank. They sub out Tien, who's going to still have his TP available for him, and can then decide, you know what, do I run to bot lane and TP back up top? We'll figure out in just a second, because 10 seconds away are the grubs, and we know just how much Ground Zero like to go for this one. So it makes a lot of sense that they're trying to initiate this flip already.
And this was, you know, what we saw Antic doing so many times against Bliss, right? They would just flip and secure their jungle, the grubs, with the numbers advantage. And we already see the fact that Bliss had the pride on the bot side, went back to the bot side because they needed to get the camps for Kevy there. And, you know, the fact that he's on the bot side of the map while these grubs are spawning is just going to mean it's a trade scheme, right? They cannot contest these grubs anymore. It's just going to go the way of Shernfire. Crab is going to be his as well, so that will be level 6 to the Fiddlesticks, which is so important for this map state of Ground Zero. The fact that it is split and there is some threat happening from the jungle being missing on the map. Well, it is, the nice thing is that it is tracked, right? Because, you know, the map is split, so you should know where Shernfire is, but here's a dive.
Here is the dive. Let's try and get a punishment. Let's try and get a bit of a trade going off in our favor. Tien is copping the world and more right now, and it gets subbed out to Violet in the end too, with the tower completely ramped up. Nearly took them all down low, but not low enough to claim a kill. So Grub secured by Ground Zero. Now becomes a battle between the two 2v2s as to who can get more turret plates.
Yeah, and they Bliss needs to do a really good job at defending the you know, the counterplay of Shern on the top side right now. They're going to get the dragon, but obviously Shern is going to walk in, steal away the golems, and, you know, wants to play for those raptors as well. It's all about, you know, cycling and protecting, and then we're just going to see Ground Zero constantly playing aggressive, playing to their side, and while we are seeing this tiny gold lead right now being built up, it's going to come back towards Ground Zero because there's more standing gold left for them on the map.
That certainly is. Unable to try and equalize it just yet, but can see that Bipemper is keen for a fight here in the mid lane. There is the Fate Shield flushed away from Fido, flashing to try and live as long as he can. But Bio still in mini, whittles him down. Kevy flashing forward, drops the plants, and the 3-man gank is successful again. It worked in bot lane, now it's worked to mid. It's a perfect start, 3-0.
And we see Bio walking back up, doesn't have vision of Shern. Shern now spots him out on the, you know, the Trinket Ward, the passive. So if he does want to go for this one, he can find this kill on the Bio, but this is the Mega Bar being extremely full, and I don't think he's going to be able to kill him before that one does pop off, Skimmy.
It's about to tick over right now. Red buff might be picked up, but Aladoric is looking to try and lock them down. Note decides against it in the end, realizing that top lane just a little bit more important, but already Ground Zero going to initiate that lane flip back to the bot lane and say, well, we got what we came for. All 3 grubs are ours. And the minigame between these junglers trying to track the respawns, that's the big one for me. It's a case of, can we invade? Can I do it successfully?
Yeah, and I want to touch back to what we saw with that bot dive earlier, right? We saw that, you know, Thien tried to outplay that one, but he sort of just inted. So a lot of people would say, oh, that's really bad what he did, but it was kind of smart scheme because he had the TP. So all he needs to do, TP back to the tower, and all of a sudden there's no dive threat happening onto him again. So in that 1v3 weak side, he is getting priority because Bliss forced to go to Dragon, the members are low, so they have no dive threat into him, and all of a sudden, he has an experience lead in his individual 1v1, even though he is 0-1-0, so just a smart play by Tien to recognize what is happening in this game. Going to walk back top, even items, but that experience lead is going to really amount to something for him in this matchup.
It seems to be more so in a need lane, right? In that top lane, you want to get as much of that as possible, and such a fun matchup when, you know, a lane flip happens, your bot lane is planted there, and you get ganked by somebody else as well, thinking, how on earth do I play this one out? In goes Shernfire then with the first crossfall of the game, knows where Kevy is, and instantly takes him out. That's going to be backed up here by Kirik, and Ground Zero are looking to try and live as long as they can because Shernfire is about to fall. The rest of them are backing out to the river, and Bliss will say you can't do that without us getting a trade.
Yeah, well played by Ground Zero. That they didn't have control of that side of the map, right? They were on the top side, and all of a sudden they just respawn, you know, deploy bot, and Shern just runs at the wolves and just finds that engage onto Kevy. Holds his flash, you know, conserves that big flash tool. We all know about Fiddle being so important in these team fights, and with that grub respawn happening in, you know, just under a minute and a half, I think that's going to be the next point of action, and all of a sudden Shern, with his ult coming back off cooldown at that point, has the flash as well.
Yeah, it's going to be perfect timing for that to all link up nicely for them. Violet, though, will go into that team fight 2-0-1. Whether or not he can try and get very close to that Trinity Force, or perhaps even complete it, would be the perfect case scenario. That would allow Bliss to feel that we can contest this one. And Kevy has already forgotten about getting those boots. He says, you know what? First item is a must, and Blackfire Torch is there.
See the aggression happening onto mid lane already. Fido, no flash to himself.
Fido doesn't have a flash, and Harry, having burnt it to try and trade out earlier on, was looking, should I go for the ult between two towers, or is this pressure alone enough? That certainly is. Fido's TP will be up by the time he goes back to base if he needs to try and rush back to the mid lane. But this works out nicely for Bliss to try and get some control of the river if they do want those grubs in 30.
Still 40 seconds on the Crow Storm for Shernfire. He's walking to the top side. Does get spotted out by the minion here that as it was being dragged to the side. Tien has the flash and all that, so going to feel pretty comfy, but we got to touch on the mid lane, Skimmy. We're seeing what happens when Harry is left alone. No pressure mid lane. He is left in his individual 1v1, and he's creating such a big advantage on the map for his entire team. Priority, finding these angles to blow flash, and the fact that they did get their kill on Fido was such a big deal for this game state. With the grubs spawning now, we do see, pretty much all the members grouping up here. Fido on the bot side of the map with the teleport, so if he does have the time to be able to, push that minion wave in and force that teleport down from Harry or make him lose some experience, they are going to at least win something out.
Well, Bliss been aggressive, started off in the mid lane, get control of that one, and haven't sacrificed this Dragon Pit, or rather the Baron Pit, ever since. Correct trying to wrestle his way in. Limus in hot support as Shernfire just waiting for the right angle. Wayne gonna hit this Crow Storm, and that's the perfect time, Tally. He jumps in, locks down 3 members, gets sucked away then by the Fate Sealed, and it's a double kill then that Bio picks up as a result. This Gnar is a menace. That XP difference, completely forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely just out the window, Skimmy. Doesn't matter anymore because now Bio is winning this top side of the map. But very curious play by Groundzer. Recognize what's happening on the map. We see Fido on the bot lane farming. We see Tien on the top lane. Recalling, not just saying this fight, but they're still positioning to contest this objective. And Shernfire goes in on this outnumbered team fight, even though he does find a really nice engage. He doesn't have the damage to kill these people, especially when they have the cleanse, the flash to get out of these fights. And that's such a big swing for Bliss. And all of a sudden, we have that almost 2,000 gold lead and just map pressure all going in the pocket of Bliss right now.
That certainly is. 6 kills to 1, 3 grubs apiece now, so not the Exodia and just, yep, you can go for your dragons, you can overcommit 4 or 5 members towards that one, and we'll just take a couple of towers in response. This is going to be a much more even starting field for both teams to play from, and from that mid lane point you highlighted as well. This is what we expected the first time they versed each other in the upper bracket, going for that PCS spot. So it's good to see that with another week of reflection, some review, I suppose, they've had a chance to figure out, we don't actually need to ban the Corki. Let it up. I think that's the most curious part of it all, right, Tally, is that they actually banned the Akshan and said, yeah, we want you to go Corki because we think we can counter it.
Yeah, just a familiarity thing, right? You don't really get the price against Akshan very often, but this is the Corki Tristana meta, and that champ's just been in the game so much. Limus, all of a sudden, no summoners on mid lane. Aldork has the ult.
What can he do? Because Limus' ult is about 5 seconds away. He's got nothing otherwise, and Alador's going to lock him in place. The stun is not enough. The slow is dead. The damage is picked up, and Violet now 3-0-2. Trinity Falls must be there on that next base. Whereas Grand Zero saying, well, we've got to attend to these lanes. We need to get some extra gold on the map, because right now we're not losing. We're not winning fights, rather.
I think, the big difference we're noticing right now, Skimmy, is the fact that Aladork has, finally woken up. He's, I am inevitable. He's pulling out his Thanos glove, and he's saying, guys, remember, I am the best support in this region for a reason. And we just see him completely dominating this game. Everywhere he goes, we're seeing the teamwork, especially from Bliss. Aladork pairing up with Kevy, moving around the map, securing the camp, securing the objectives, diving these towers. And the fact these engages are really working out for them is looking so nice for Bliss, because, you look at Ground Zero's comp. They don't really function until they get to the mid game, where they can really, show their team fight, because without the... I'll hold my point screen, there's a lot of actions I have to give. But, back to what I was saying, as they did, slow down a bit, but the fact that we're seeing the Fiddle and the Braum together on the team, they don't really function, right, in these skirmishes. They kind of, they're good at dealing with their opponents, and Shernfire on the Fiddle's just going to do really well in these team fights. So they don't really have the pressure on the map that we see from the Leona, from Aladoric, and he is really punishing the enemy team for overstepping. And this is something we asked for these teams into Ground Zero. We wanted to see them pressuring them for being aggressive when they shouldn't.
What if it actually materializes anything more than just that pressure as a standalone factor? Because we've seen Grand Zero fall behind in the past, but they've managed to bring it back. Despite being down tens of thousands of gold, they found a way to remain viable, and obviously in that occasion it was a brand that really allowed them to punish the fact that Team Bliss had a dive composition, and whilst the Fiddlesticks can certainly emulate that a lot later on, as you already mentioned there, they do need that ramp up time, and so far Bliss aren't allowing that to happen. Bioperfect gets aggressive, holds down Tien, keeps him in check. Fido's forced to split push because he can no longer interact with Harry, and Bliss are the ones saying, well, we'll do the objectives, and it's up to you to decide what you want to trade for that.
Yeah, this is just nice by Harry. He doesn't have the TP, but he groups up, has that wave window, so even though Fighter has some free time with the tower, not going to get it in that one wave, and we do see the all-out from Tien going onto Bio, but just the trade of, you know, ult, or not even the ult coming out of Bio, just the Mega Gnar coming out of him, so just going to walk that one off, but I just think that, you know, even though we are seeing a lot of pressure from Bliss right now, all of a sudden the gold lead has swung back in favor of Ground Zero Skimmy, and this is just what we know of this team. Their macro and their efficiency is just second to none in this league, and all of a sudden, if they just keep doing this over and over again, they keep repeating the cycle of, you know, catching waves, catching camps, you know, maintaining their vision, they get to that, you know, 2-3 item point, and all of a sudden, you know, there's only this one champ who can really threaten Limus, and that's going to be the Yone ult, and I think that if they do not find that onto this Ashe, with Kurak peeling him, he's going to really dominate these team fights.
Yeah, that Brom Shield's going to be really, really vital. Absolutely important for them to try and deny a lot of these crucial skill shots from landing and allowing Bliss to run away with things. Because as you rightly mentioned, yeah, Bliss have said, we've got a dive comp, we want to group up, we want to try and force the fight. Ground Zero said, not interested, we'll split push. And they're winning. They do macro better than everybody else. And they might look to pick somebody else off. Xunfai's dead in the jungle for 30 now, as he tried to link up with the rest of his team, but Bio on a fantastic flank checks him out, and with the true shot barrage, makes light work of him.
And, you know, this is what we're seeing every single time. Bliss members group up, Ground Zero members push side. So Bio groups up, kills Shern, but, you know, the entire time Fido has pushed away on top side. So their only answer is, you know, grouping up mid and finding these picks, finding these fights, because they just keep, you know, losing priority on the side lane, even though you would think that the Bliss members who are stronger than Gnar, the Yone so much stronger on the side lanes, would maintain their priority. They don't really need to, right? They're the stronger on the map, and all they need to do is find Shern, because the moment this Fiddlesticks goes down, there's no map pressure for the side of Ground Zero, there's no gank pressure. Even if the Ashe arrow does go out, there's no follow-up for that.
Yeah, I think that's the concern right now, is that, you know, whilst we're spending all this time grouped up as a team, looking to try and find you, easy said than done. Ground Zero obviously being very meticulous in their timing, their vision control, and their ability to say, well, we can take a stab in the dark and push out this lane, because who's going to respond to us? 3 members are there, they're going to go for this Drake, they're going to go for that Herald, whatever it may be. But it's a risky game, because it has allowed Bliss to find a 3-0 carry in the top half of the map and a 3-0 in the bottom half of the map, and they both obviously scale so well.
And, you know, something that is interesting to me, Skimmy, is that we have never seen Ground Zero, you know, trade an objective when they don't have pride inside. So I'm curious what's going to happen, because Harry on the side against, you know, Fido will get very hard in the 1v1. So I'm curious to see if, you know, Ground Zero are going to force themselves to group up and fight these 5v5s. You know, we're already seeing the teleport happening onto the bot tower, so they are grouping up. They do want to look for this, and, you know, Harry going to answer that wave and has the TP in his back pocket, so we're probably going to see the match happen. And I think we're about to see our first 5v5 of the game.
It's looking like that right now, as in jumps Tien, hits the path, make it immune to a whole bunch of CC. Nothing to be found though. CC being burnt, Flash to try and run away, and double top laners no longer having that for this upcoming 5v5. Bit of Honeyfruit though, going to make sure that Casante's A-OK, as it will be Ground Zero to kick that one off. And now a question of, Harry, how much do you want this dragon? Your TP's up, or do you value that tower instead?
The outer tower is really not important to the game's sake. Getting the soul point is so important for this team. And they finally have set up. They finally have Xunfai track. They recognize he's over the wall. The TP's coming out, Skimmy. They just need to avoid this huge engage coming out of Ground Zero, because once they do, it's going to be so easy for Violet with the items in his inventory to really carry this one.
Lots of nice poke onto Tien. Fantastic 3-man stun up against the wall there from Bio. Beautifully combined in with Dione. That's what you want to see from a dive comp. And this is that end result. Stun onto Limus. He's got nowhere to go. He burnt double summoners to just survive. But it is a 4-0 with the Dragon picked up acquisition, and Bliss are just running it.
What an engage from Bio. You know, you would think that when Aladork isn't there, the team isn't there in the pit, they wouldn't be able to engage, but Bio himself finds the engage with that, you know, huge Gnar into the wall, and the fact that Aladoric the whole time just goes onto Xunfai and makes sure that he can't go in. You know, what are the flash from him to find Xun and lock him out of the fight? There is no, you know, disengage that comes out of this Fiddle ulti that threatens the dive coming out of Bliss, because Aladoric is just sitting there, stunning him. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see these, you know, defensive items being built from the side of Bliss. And I think that when we get the Bloodthirster or the QSSs or the Shield Bows coming out of these members, you know, even the Wit Sand out of Bio, it is so much harder for Shern to play the game.
Wasn't this an interesting situation we find ourselves in here, Tally, right? It's only Shern that has the 1 kill that Ground Zero managed to pick up in these 19 minutes of gameplay. This is Team Bliss saying, you smashed us before, we want to try and give you a little bit of payback now. We want to try and, you know, showcase that we are far better than that. And I am curious to see if this is something that can sustain itself, or if Ground Zero's macro allows them to once again find our way back in. Because with a Baron up very shortly, it could be a case of, we'll just wait for you, and we'll pounce and turn it around.
I think that Ground Zero's macro this game, Skimmy, is really reliant on Bliss making mistakes. You know, they really need to find those engages onto the correct members with the Growth Storm, but Violet can always just answer this mid-wave, has Flash Cleanse, has Arcane Shift, you know, quite hard to lock down, and he's just going to be able to respond to whatever engage comes out of Ground Zero, and if Harry doesn't put himself in a bad position on that side lane without team members being ready to back him up, he's also completely fine. There's just no real threat in these individual 1v1s. You know, Ground Zero can only really do anything on the map when they group up as 3 or 4, but if Bliss also answers that with their own members, they're always going to be much more comfortable and much stronger than the enemy.
Yeah, they certainly are. Zeta wants to try and get the jumper to Kurek, but he nicely flashes out of that solar flare from the Leona. Nice little bit of vision, spots out Fighter, so his defensive position is forced to back away from. But I think above all else, Tally, for me, is the fact that you got 4-0 is Violet on this Ezreal,
Violet.
but it's Lemus who actually matches him with those 2 items.
Violet almost got caught out there with the overstep, but no, Shern doesn't want to go for him because he recognized that he has the cleanse. But yeah, you're talking about the item spikes happening right now. Lemus is having a, you know, a quiet game, right? He's not really being able to impact these fights. He's not inting by any means. He's just, you know, he's falling over in these lost team fights, but he's still farming really well. He's still on the clock when it comes to his items, so he does have the DPS to output, but you know, the enemy team is so scary, and the fact that he's pretty much forced to blow his summoners in every single team fight, every single skirmish. There is no winning scenario for him, and with him having no summoners going to this next fight, all of a sudden, you know, he's picking for Harry, he's picking for Bio, and even Kevy, with his poke he's going to start to output, it's really hard to deal with.
Well, let's see then what Ground Zero can do from a losing position. It's only 4k, that's about where Bliss find themselves up on. But you have to really wonder what Ground Zero's ticket is back into this game. Is it really Bliss getting too keen to get that Dragon Soul, or perhaps a Baron Rush, in which Ground Zero get given too much space for which they can set themselves up on? Because you're right, I mean, really for Lemus, his work has been cut out for him. If it's a straight 5v5 like you're seeing here, he just gets dived and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, and as the time does go on, Skimmy, you know, we look at the clock, just over a minute 30 left on that Mount Soul. Bliss are playing, you know, while they do have the lead, while they do have this, you know, almost 5,000 gold lead, they have pretty much the entire map under pressure. They do not feel too pressured to, you know, push the lead even more because these ejections are coming up. But I'll hold my point is Aladoric goes in.
Aladoric is jumping in, out goes the Ash Arrow, looking to try and stun them down as Team Bliss look to march on forward. Schoenfire's burning down lower and lower, goes in with that final Crow Storm but dies mid-animation. And it's not going to be the most decisive kill, but it's a very important one because we know jungler Bliss can look at Baron.
Decides to go back in and die there, you know, maybe a questionable engage from Schoenfire, but he does go for it, he does go down, and there is no jungler, there's no smite left for the team of Ground Zero, and this Baron is dying extremely fast, even with the teleports coming out.
That it certainly is. Tien to join up now with Fighter, the Baron getting lower and lower and lower, but without no smite, there is no chance to contest. All 5 members that of Bliss complete the heist successfully, picking up the major objective, and my God, Tally, if they lose this somehow, this would really mental boom you.
Yeah, okay, the one thing that is nice about this, you know, the last time we saw them have a goalie like this, they lost, right? But the reason was, you know, they had a very, very easy to outplay comp, but I'll hold my point is double TP is coming out, Skimmy. They're being split up. Lemus, no flash on the mid lane.
Focus Lemus, kill the Eddie carry, an Eddie carry on mid lane. It is just so beautiful, poetic. How many times have we seen that all 4 years of LCO action? There's one more to the tally, but 14 kills to 1 right now. It's a very devastating 6k gold lead, and it could become even more right now as Aladoric, in combination with Harry, is saying, you know what, towers, forget about them. We want more.
Got flash, they're going to, you know, continue to siege. The Mountain Soul is up for them, but they can get that one at any time, right? The harder thing for them is to find these windows to siege, especially when all 5 members are up from Ground Zero. They do have good wave clear and good engage threat, so they see Schoenfire on the ward. They're going to probably rotate towards the bot side and get that inner tower first of all, looking for that dragon. But, you know, to your earlier point about the fact we have seen Ground Zero come back from these gold leads, last time we saw it happen between these two teams, this was on that, you know, almost 5 AP comp. And, you know, of course they're going to outscale. This time, a lot more ability to be able to get picks like this game, be able to explode the game and really still stay competitive as it comes towards the late game because they do have, you know, really good answers to the enemy comp in pretty much every position.
That they certainly do. You can see there, even just the mere threat of standing near your turret is not enough to feel protected because 3 members dive upon you and the Fiddlesticks dies for his 5th time this game. Bliss then, hunting for more blood, that's all they want. If you're dead, you can't defend these structures and we can just keep adding to our kill count. 16 now, as they'll break open the base, they'll find that first inhibitor in the bot lane and now move across into mid.
Yep, still haven't gone for that dragon. They just want to do the hardest thing first, right? They want to, whenever they have a window to siege, they want to abuse it. They want to be able to break this base open because, you know, they have a lot of money in their pockets from all these towers they have taken. Gonna get the objective that is uncontested, reset, come back on the map, and we're probably gonna see that game-ending push happening after this reset, Skinny.
It certainly looks to be the case right now. 24 minutes in, 2 items already being picked up by a whole host of members on Ground Zero, which would be pretty even with Bliss. But as you mentioned, they'll be sitting on a ton of cash in their back pocket, hoping to try and spend it up. But they've done the hard yards. They've used the Baron to take down 2 inhibitors. They'll back off to pick up the Dragon Soul, which is a mountain one at that, to make it even harder for these underfed members of Ground Zero to fight. And then say, all right, let's go for the shop. And let's really guarantee that we cannot lose from this position now.
And this is what we wanted to see from the Ezreals in O's, right? You know, the champion is so strong from an ahead position. It can absolutely take over the game. You know, being able to arcane shift forward, being able to, you know, play aggressive in these team fights is such a big deal for the Ezreal. And when these Mystic shots do land on the squishy members of Ground Zero, they really stick. The damage hurts, and I think that it's very telling when we see Kurak get caught out and he actually dies, Skimmy, that this game state is very one-sided for Bliss right now.
Well, here we go then. It's a case of Adadoric jumping in unmanned and gets completely picked apart. That'll be kill number 2 then, picked up by Kurak. Vilepamp tries to do a little bit of animation cancelling, but gets stunned up in the air by the Ash Ult instead. In goes Harry, airballs on the ultimate, dashes out 1, but doesn't find any instant kill. But it will be Violet into the backline, snipes away a double, hunts for that 3rd, being picked up by Kevy, and a frontlining AD carry. I think I've seen it all.
Very, very nice. You know, Albor doing the classic ahead, too far ahead of his team because he has that 15% out of combat move speed from the Warmogs. He kind of speeds himself into the enemy jungle, gets caught, but the rest of Bliss shows up and wallet gaps the enemy team, slaps them in the face with all the money they have, and it's going to be the push, you know, that's going to secure that first game, Skinny. And this is going to feel so good for the side of Bliss. They finally pick up a win against, you know, Ground Zero, and we finally see this team lose their first game of the split, Skinny.
That it certainly is. 8 weeks of gameplay and Bliss have finally broken the armor, the impenetrable armor that is known as Ground Zero. No longer 19-0, it's 19-1. That must feel so vindicating for Bliss. Not only the fact that they won the game, but the fashion in which they did it, Tally.
Yeah, what a performance out of Bliss, and I just think it's really, really nice to see that they stuck to their guns and they're just like, all right, guys, it was our gameplay the problem, not the drafts. They went back for the, you know, the Yone in the mid lane, and Harry looked so good this game alongside the rest of his team.
Completely revitalized, a brand new look from Bliss, and maybe it is a case of you run the lower bracket, you get a few more games under your belt, and you figure out what needs to change when you go up against them again. At the break then, it leads with Bliss taking map number 1.